to see kind of repeat, honestly, but we will find out. As in the top right-hand corner, the blue Protoss player, this is Astrea.
And in the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of the American Terran, who's already had a fantastic season. I think coming into it, he would have signed for a top 4 finish. That would have been impressive. But if you're here, you always want more, especially if you go up against someone that you've already defeated. Representing Maturino Esports, can we continue the crazy Terran aggression? It's future. His reputation precedes him.
Yeah, well, he wins the mind game. Barracks is in the main base, so he's laughing now.
Look at Astrea, he's checking everywhere. He's like, it's out there. It's always out there. It's always... Oh, second Rex. Okay, 2 Rex. A triple Reaper opening or something? What is this?
Yeah, I would guess just like a few Reapers early, try and get some pressure going, try and get some damage done early. Seems like a reasonable guess to me.
I do like this already because Future has the reputation of being wild, crazy, incredibly unpredictable. Then if you're Astrea, at first you scout for a proxy, you're like, alright, there's no proxy, but now you cannot get in, and you're like, okay, he's mining something. And NA is wild, man. Like at this point, if you're Astrea, you even need to think about Dolan's special build, where they just go 4 or 5 Rex Marine, don't take a gas, and they SCV pull Marine all in you on the other side of the map. Like, you have to take everything into consideration when you're playing NA StarCraft. The moment that he sees a Reaper, I think Astrea will be slightly less worried and be like, alright, if it's a Reaper, it can't possibly be that crazy. I guess this could just lead into like a... Okay, we're gonna get a factory as well. So it's 2 Rex Reaper, maybe like Reapers, Hellions into expand, and then quick stim, a lot of Marines. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. Future is wild. Just double Reaper, by the way. He's already building his first Marine.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy, right? 2 Reapers, single Marine, not quite the build we're expecting either. See the first Reaper going to show up, and he's going to put some damage onto some probes in this main mineral line. And start getting some HP off one. Sentry pops out from Astrea. That's going to be great for hallucinations and information very soon. As now we see the factory dropping down as well. Future is just sending it on one base, so whatever this is, it is going to pack one heck of a punch.
And Astrea is going for a second gate as he drops a forcefully. Yeah, sentries just don't have that micro potential, and sure, they got a bit of a buff in PvP, but that's not going to help you against a bunch of Reapers. Just like in the upper bracket, Future is off to a flying start. And this is once more, sometimes I ask myself, why does Astrea make life so hard on himself? Right, like now he used the force field as well. That means no hallucination, means he cannot scout. Isn't this the second gate? Like, we're not gonna have a Robo, we're not gonna have a Twilight Council. Am I crazy, or is Astrea already in trouble?
He's in tons of trouble, Roddy. He's just gonna pump out Stalkers against a tech all-in. I mean, Marauders, Concussive Shells. I mean, he's built Stalkers against a Concussive Shell Marauder all-in with tank support. Nothing is good here for Astrea. The Robo is the best thing you could probably build right now. But even that feels very late for how aggressive Future is setting up to be very soon.
Yeah, Future should not lose the second Reaper, by the way. Losing one Reaper after all the damage he's done is fine, but you don't want to lose the second one, because if you lose the second one, you make it very easy for Astrea to at least move some units out and be comfortable. We can't forget, by the way, that Concussive Shells is close to finishing up. Astrea, if he would lose one of his Stalkers here early on, that would be problematic. He drops to the Twilight Council too, so it's a 2-base Protoss with a 2-gate opening, a Robo, a Twilight. I think now that Stalker caught a glimpse of SCVs leaving, so Astrea knows that this is serious. He immediately builds 3 batteries, lovely grenade. 1 stock is misrally, but the Future's army is so freaking powerful compared to Astrea's army, who's going to lose the sentry as well in no man's land. If Astrea holds this, he's an absolute god.
Yeah, we will see what he can do as the SCVs are here. The tank is siege already. Super battery will come down. This is not really a time you want to be fighting, really, as Future. Any unit you lose right now, you're not really gaining that much for because the super battery is just undoing your work. So far, very good defense from Astrea. This is about as good as it could have been thus far. Now it's going to get tougher because the super battery's gone, but you've got 3 other batteries, Immortal Chrono boosting. You know, if there's a chance, it comes with the start like this one.
Yep, and maybe if there is a chance, it comes with the second overcharge as well. 1 Immortal, second overcharge. That's not the fight for Stalkers, by the way. They don't take out a tank that quickly. And where Astrea had a very promising start to his defense, I think that was a mistake. Future needs to activate the barrier immediately. That's what he does. And Astrea is now counting down the seconds to that second overcharge. I've heard multiple overcharges are available, Wadi. Astrea could really use one right now.
Yeah, I don't think he really realized the timing of the second tank. Now, 2 more tanks siege up. The Immortal's going to get in range of tank number 1, but it is going to go down very quickly. No damage on this tank anymore. Oh my goodness. We are going to lose 1 tank, but the Stalkers are just getting absolutely blasted. Probes as well. And Future continues to hold on at the front. Here's a new Immortal, and obviously Marauder doesn't last long against that, but this next tank pushes up a bit closer. I mean, the saving grace for Astrea is that Future had to siege so far away, it's taking him a while to get into reach now.
Oh, and because he used Chrono Boost and he didn't have energy to use Battery Overcharge, and because he couldn't use Battery Overcharge, he could not heal up the pylon. Not healing up the pylon means unpowered Robo. With the second Immortal, there was actually reason enough to be hopeful. Immortal is in range with the tank, by the way, that's big. That Battery Overcharge guarantees Astrea a kill on the tank. He's still up 7 workers, by the way, Wardy. I don't know if that Immortal can go that far, but it has the new battery. Excuse me, new barrier, so it actually gets the second tank as well. There is a new Immortal that's going to come out in the near future. Is this turning into a hold as the Immortal turns around? It's going to battle the tank. That's a really close fight. Immortal wins it.
That Immortal was off on a journey. Top left, he came back in, kills the tanks and probes pull. But this is a hold from Astrea. He has pushed back Future, and he is going to start looking a little bit better in this game because he's 2 bases versus the 1 at the end of the day after all of this. Astrea, up a bunch of probes, up a base. What a defense.
Did cancel his Twilight. Yeah, like, it's great, but I still think it's awkward. Do you think that Astrea needs to, from here on out, build a Robo Bay? I think that's his best option, right? I mean, it's so hard for Astrea to figure out what is happening. He knows a bunch of SCVs were pulled, but he didn't know if Future immediately rebuilt them. He doesn't know if Future eventually dropped the command center. He's got absolutely no way to scout on the other side of the map. He's going to build another battery, he's going to build a center, he's going to build an observer, and from there on out, he is going to make his decisions. When he saw the move out initially, he had a Twilight Council in the production tab. He canceled that Twilight Council. Like, I think it was a great hold, and yes, he's up a base, yes, he's up 14 workers, but the moment that Stim kicks in, there's still going to be a lot of damage in this Terran army.
Stim is dangerous, just so powerful. Prison coming up, obviously some micro ability on those units would be absolutely huge in this upcoming fight. And this fight is going to happen. I believe the SCVs have just been pulled out of the base, so we are going to be full sending this across the map as the observer's going to see the army coming. The SCVs do dodge the obs, but I mean, you see the army coming, so you have a good idea here as Astrea, who is meeting it up a ramp already. Pops Guardian Shield, wants to really engage in. I don't hate that. He's going to lose the sentry. Oh no, actually sentry stays alive. I don't hate this at all.
So many SCVs. So for the second time in this game, Astrea drops the Twilight Council. For the second time in this game, I think he absolutely needs to cancel it, because that is not going to come into play. Will this Marauder get slowed down? Yes, but the Warp Prism here to save it. Couple of Zealots in the front line. This is where Future needs to siege up his tanks. That's what he's going to do. Needs to time his Stim wisely. This is the moment where he stims. He comes down the Warp Prism immediately. It's the guy with the gun with Stim. First Immortal falls, second Immortal falls, and I think in the end it is still Future, Wardy.
Oh my goodness, a few more Stalkers warping in. He wants this siege tank. He will get it, but a new tank shows up. Astrea is up 16 workers. He's got a new Immortal Roddy, and he's now got a new battery as well. The tank will not siege because he doesn't think he can, well, get away with it, and he probably couldn't. Astrea is actually going to get the win in the end. Man, when that bio stimmed, I was with you. I thought it was goodbye Protoss for the night, but, no. Wild first game.
A couple of insanely good overcharges, especially the one that kept that Immortal alive forever. It allowed the Immortal to get in range of the tanks, and Future pulled all the SCVs there, but the final Immortal was one Immortal too many. What a hold by Astrea, man, because initially it looked so rough for him. His army looked underwhelming. Yes, he was building batteries, and he saw the move out. It just kind of felt that the tanks, the Marines, were going to be too much to deal with. Incredibly well done. Very, very impressive hold. And even built the Twilight Council the second time around as well. Yeah, proper NA game. But Astrea finally gets a win over Future, even though it came with some bumping and bruising, and it was a very bumpy adventure. He gets the job done. What a hold.
I love that Twilight Council made a reappearance. That's the true NA moment of it all. Alright, game number 2, Alcyone Future. Cool build, very nearly works out. A real game of the slightest margins. But Astrea, a big confidence boost, right? Because you lose a map here at the start after losing to the guy in the upper bracket as well, and I feel like you start second-guessing yourself and all sorts of trouble. Yeah, it was close, but at least you've got the point on the board, and that's got to be a big sigh of relief from Astrea. So, big part of this series in that first game as we have in the bottom left, the Red Terran from Maturino, Future.
What I think is really going to help Astrea is that he had a rough start to that game and he didn't really know what was coming. So if you have a bad start and you're in the dark and you're getting all in and you still find a way to victory, yeah, that's got to be not just a little confidence booster, but I think a massive confidence booster. In the top right side, one of the top favorites coming into this tournament, taking the 1-0 lead here in the lower bracket. This is Astrea. How many overcharges did we have in that game? 4? I think
3, 4, yeah. There's been a
Sick.
few times where overcharges have come in multiple times over the day. I was just saw it in that Trigger Scarlet series as well on Crimson.
That was such a close game, properly on a knife's edge. Obviously, Future never had a starport, didn't have medevacs, didn't have combat shield, so yeah, you've got one stim, right? That's it, because you cannot stim Marine twice without combat shield, without medevacs. I did feel that he timed the stim well. I don't even think he really did a whole lot wrong. It's, killing units in range of battery overcharge is incredibly difficult. Well done by us.
Such difficult to kind of reset from a game right, like that, and then just like go into game 2. And Future is looking to put down the most normal expansion of all time, and Astrea is going to do a double take when the probe spots it. He's going to go, whoa, wait, what? Barracks is in home, the CC is down. That's like he did the wrong person load into the game? What's going on?
One gas, a Reaper, fast expand on the low ground? Australia, like, what is this place? This only happens when I battle the Europeans or the Koreans. This never happens within my own region. What do I do?
This is Astrea's greatest weakness, the standard builds.
Think Future is gonna do something weird as a follow-up then, where it all looks so normal. Is it truly normal? Or do you still think that he's got something evil up his sleeve?
I think there's something too basey focused down the line. I think this is like a solid standard start, but I wouldn't be surprised to see like a big commitment of 3 racks or just add barracks 4 and 5 before third base. I don't think Future is clamoring to, play a long macro game against Astrea.
Future is actually good. It's funny because we've had some great Terran plays in the past where it's like, hey, on 1 base or 2 base, they are so dangerous and they know exactly what they can and cannot fight. But the moment they are forced to take a third, they completely fall apart. I don't think that's really the case for Future, but I do understand that it's probably still a scenario that he wants to avoid. Not because he's not good at it, but it's just because Astrea is incredibly good in these long, drawn-out games. We have often praised Astrea for his ability to always produce workers, no matter under how much pressure he is. He will always be on top of his pro production. He makes expanding look safe and easy. So yeah, it's 2 base or max a 3rd base, and then we keep on sending it. Because you don't want to let Astrea get set up on a 4 or 5 base setup where he can do stuff like losing 50-something High Templars and still win.
That game is ridiculous on Oceanborn.
Sickest fights though, mate. Those are fights that are going to stay with us for a long time. I'm glad that you said you've never seen that, because yeah, I've seen some sick storms and I've seen some sick engagements over the years, but a 360 Protoss army surrounding the Terran with goals, storms coming in from every angle. I want to say that was the first for me, at least on this level. When it wasn't staged, when it wasn't a setup, a real competitive game, I have not seen a fight like that.
It's the fact it was not just like, oh, the Prism dropped a couple storms over here, so they were everywhere. It's like, they walked in. The High Templars did their little float in slow-mo on the 360 surround. It was just so perfect. Crazy.
And then it still took a very long time to end it, but yeah, what a game that was. It was an epic game. Future opening up with a double mine drop. Had 2 mines burrowed on the edge of his main base for a little bit, maybe hoping Astrea would open up with an Oracle, or even if he went Sentry first, then a hallucinated Phoenix could have potentially flown into it. That would have still been something. And that's not going to be it. Probe Scout here is good, as Astrea, by the way, drops a very quick Templar Archives. Blink is done, Zealot Charge on the way. Medevac changed its course. Astrea has to obviously see this. Should pull probes, will pull probes. Wait until the last second. Well, Blink, by the way, he's got so many Stalkers already.
Yeah, gonna get rid of 1 Widow Mine. Unfortunately, the other Widow Mine does go for 2 probes, but this is gonna be a full cleanup. So Astrea completely shutting it down. Compared to when Future played Disc a few hours ago, and those Widow Mines stuck around for so long, they got so much done. Well, not this time. 2 probes, shut down completely. Astrea doesn't have to worry about it anymore. He has the obs in the base to see what's up, and he's on his way to that beautiful storm.
And he's getting 3 more gates, by the way. So he's about to become a 6th gateway Protoss on 2 base with Blink, Charge, and Storm. And it sounds silly, but it's actually very good if Future is indeed going to do what we were expecting him to do. Be very aggressive with a lot of bio units of 2 bases. It's like, if you're not going up to 3 bases as a Terran, then I guess as a Protoss, yeah, 2-base Storm could very well be the dream. Because if it's just bio that you have to worry about, Storm is amazing.
Storm is real good. As Storm is just going to find, I mean, I know there's Marauders in there, but it's just a bunker. And it's an attempt to salvage. That is going to get taken out as we blink away back to the center. Charging the Storm coming up. Hey, not bad to grab that already. We do have the medevac coming over here. A few Marines unloading already, getting set up.
That's potential, by the way, because Astrea, most of his units were in the center of the map or first in the natural. If these Marines would stim in, they actually can deal a lot of damage very quickly. But that's not going to happen. There was an observer there to give Astrea the heads up. Astrea had control of the Zelnaga Watchtower, still has control of the Zelnaga Watchtower. 21 Marines, 10 Marauders against 3 High Templars with Storm. High Templar number 4 just got warped in. We don't have a Warp Prism though, Wadi. So these Storms, I mean, Future will know where they're coming from, but it's still going to be hard to deal with them.
First one hits a few Marines. That's a Storm from the side though, and that's the Marines in the red hit points now. We do kill off that High Templar, but it's going to drain a lot of medevac energy really quickly. And of course, the sooner we're draining that medevac energy, the more difficult it is to stay in this, as we do have Stalkers just chasing this away. And we don't really want to stim again because those units are already low HP, so this is not ideal. We set off a Widow Mine, or we try to. Good on Burrow from Future as he tries to retreat away. Army supply is still great for him, but he's got to be able to find the fight. And of course, find the fight into Storms is extremely tough to do.
Absolutely, but Astrea did storm his own observer there, so he's lacking a little bit of that vision now. And it's not that Astrea has an insanely good economy. It's not that he's got double forts and he's ahead in upgrades. Like, I actually don't hate this for Future, but it is going to be hard to just storm or like stim up a ramp and get it done. I like the idea of going for a massive drop. There is unfortunately for Future a spotting pylon here, so Astrea knows that all of these units are there. And he's going to be able to move some units over, but yeah, dealing with 5 medevacs is hard. That's not something that you can really blink across. These probes are not going to be able to go through there either. Astrea is now the 3-base Protoss. Goes for a Zealot warp in the main. Zealot alone not good enough. He's going to need a lot more than that, Wadi.
Yeah, it's just so many medevacs to get enough unloaded quickly enough as well. That's 3 gates depowered already as well, so Future finds a great connection there, and we are going to see these Zealots committed into mines, which is obviously expensive. It's not easy to keep those alive. There's a good storm. There's a good second storm. We blink forward to get 1 full medevac, so it's 1 empty medevac, 1 full one. Back down to the low ground, though, and this is the problem of Astrea trying to ping-pong between all his bases. That super battery will do absolutely 0. That was not even worth pressing the button, as now a couple of Zealots will come through. Finally, though, here we drag those Widow Mine shots into the bio, which gives you more of a chance. Storm's coming through. Can the Stalkers play cleanup? The medevacs are dropping. It looks as though we can't escape easily because of the choke point, and the Storms have been good enough. The Widow Mine's going down, and Astrea is going to hold on.
And the craziest thing is during this, he goes up to 4 bases, by the way. As Future boots over a medevac, I mean, Future, there's no reason for him to really slow down, because it's mostly just Stalkers, and Stalkers that don't have any gateway upgrades yet. It's the High Templars that scare him. I love what he did there, right? Going for that big drop in the main. Astrea had a really hard time dealing with that drop, so he was forced to recall the High Templars back into the main. Then you pick up, you unload in the main. If that one medevac with 4 units would have actually survived, then I think Future has enough there to maybe completely overrun the units in the third, straight up win the game. But I think that final bit of firepower made it too difficult to really battle all those Stalkers and then stick around when the High Templars finally floated their way over, back from the main, all the way towards the third base.
Robobay, I'd love to see that. Astrea, I think, learned a little lesson from, that match against Kelza. Maybe the tech switches are pretty good in the matchup, and he's going to try and make one of those already. Is that Robobay and second facility coming online. I like that a lot. I think that's a huge move, especially if you can do this while holding 4 bases. It sets him up into such a great spot, so I love that.
Future was so close. Hey, that's actually a great move by Future, boosting those medevacs forward, giving him high ground vision, knowing that Astrea likes to sprinkle those High Templars around the map. Finds one of them for free. The downside is there are 7 more, Waddy. There are 7 freaking High Templars with Storm. At this point, it's actually incredibly difficult to figure out what is the right move for Future. Because attacking into 7 High Templars seems silly. Even when you have a couple of goals, that's difficult. But if you don't, then the double Robo Colossus comes online, as he is going to stim forward, get on top of the 4th base, kills the High Templar, kills the Nexus. Yeah, this is about as good as he was ever going to do. And as Astrea move commanding his army there for a split second in the range of those Widow Mines, that's a nice little victory for Future, but he did lose 15 SCVs against the Zealots. He needs more, and ideally he needs something big before the Colossus come out, or you just go home and you play the all-out macro with double starport.
That was a wild couple of moments, because obviously the Zealots did so well, but then just lose the fourth base so freely. Astrea just missing vision around the map, losing track of that force. Good feedbacks there, going to stop the first couple of high Templar. We get away from the snipe as well, so we can escape ourselves from that one, which is nice. An extra high Templar staying alive. We're expanding back to where we were and also to the far right-hand side. So double expansion attempt from Astrea as we play some micro games.
Of course we do, right? Astrea is one of these guys, a little bit like Lemon was in Asia. I know you had a lot of fun watching Lemon. They just keep on building next side. It's like, don't you need units? Aren't you shivering in your boots? You don't have all that much map vision. Your opponent has a lot of units at your front door. And it's like, nah, probes, next side, that's fine. If you want to come into me, go ahead and run it into me. I will find a way to storm your army. And those storms are absolutely ridiculous. You cannot make this stuff up. All of these buy units are 1 or 2 hits away from dying. We're going to have a final storm. Metavex will end up dying. And this turns into a great fight for Astrea in the end. It is so difficult to attack as a Terran player into this many High Templars if you don't have stuff like tanks or Liberators.
That was a good blink as well. We got rid of one of those Medivacs that had a bunch of units inside, so that was a big deal. And you see the 2-2 coming online now from Future, so getting those upgrades still setting up as well. And obviously just trying to stay in this in the macro game, but man, Astrea's Storms have just been so good. Makes it difficult to... Yeah, makes it difficult to kind of really take any fights. Every fight you take, it feels like you're losing. As we also have the the fact that this Colossus force is now out. That's going to make life difficult as well.
Yeah, 4 of them in total. Extended thermal lens is done, and of course Astrea has a double Forge Protoss at this point. Yeah, it was already looking grim for Future, and I kind of felt that the right play would have been to just go back, and as scary as it is against a man like Astrea, slow the game down a little, drop a second starport, at least try to get a bunch of Vikings out to deal with the Colossus. Decided to go for it, and maybe against the lesser Protoss that would have worked out right, because they have all their High Templars coming in from one angle, or they have like one flanking High Templar, and that's about it. Astrea is incredibly good in hiding them properly, finding the right angles to get in range of the Terran army. That was not the fight for Future, that was painful at this point. All you can do is sit back, macro up, hope that you can get one more terrifying army, and as a 4-base Terran, there's no reason to assume that he cannot. But I do think we need something else other than just Marines, Marauders, and Ghosts. He's building a few Vikings now, Wardy, but in games like this, if the Protoss is well set up, this rich, you need a second starport. You're going to need a fusion core. I don't think that these units will cut it.
It's going to give you what you asked for, Roddy. Second starport, fusion core coming up. Well, yeah, you're right. It's the right thing. Oh, it's a good storm drop. 9 SCVs going down as that Templars hit along that left-hand side. That's very nicely done. Nice just way to get more damage done, put Future into even more of a difficult position.
Yeah, nice storm drop. -9 SCVs, 2 goals, by the way, a little bit ahead of the rest of the party. And Future is a very aggressive Terran. He reminds me a little bit sometimes of Cuckoo in the European scene. Like, these Terrans are just, and maybe of Clem of a couple of years ago, where Clem was also like a bit overly eager to always fight. And then eventually Clem leveled up and became the ultimate boss of, alright, I like to be aggressive, I am quick, I have great micro, but if it's the right moment to slow the game down, we're going to slow the game down a little bit and we're going to work on our late game. Future is so eager to fight, even though there isn't really a timing that you hit, there isn't really any reason to be out and about. Like, if his idea right now is like, hey, I'm pretending to be scary, so you stay at home, then I love it. But every time he moves out, my heart skips a beat and I'm like, please not now, Future, like, get a slightly better army.
Well, 2 more Stargates on the way from Astrea. You can see the Cyber Core, the Fleet Beacon. He is very happy just to play super long into this game. He is setting up for the future, as Future is setting up into the Liberators. So, Liberators, Astrea going to get answers to those up, and that's set for maybe one of the most proper macro TVPs we'll see today. I know that Oceanborn game was long, but I don't know if that was really proper, so...
4 more Stargates, double Cyber Core, Fleet Beacon, and 4 more Stargates. Astrea really is a showman as well, right? Where he's like, hey, I've been waiting all day, okay? There were 7 best of 5s. before it was my time to shine. And now that it is my time to shine, I'm not getting off this stage before I get my hour. You guys said I have an hour. I want to get the best out of my hour. I'm not here to play for 25 minutes, get the W, and move on. No, he's here to put on a show, have some fun. But it is also important to keep your eye on the prize, because this is not a fun little tournament. Couple random show matches, there's a lot of money on the line, and top 2 in the regionals for Americans is so important.
Keeping yourself alive through this lower bracket, giving yourself a chance against Scott tomorrow would be a huge deal. As the Stalker is going to get knocked down. And Astrea moves to the center, really wants to try and hold this watchtower, so comes back and takes it. Mothership is on the way. At some point, Astrea has to trade out some supply if he wants to actually make use of his Stargate, so would have to figure that out at some point.
At this point, Future's army is actually very sick. I mean, Astrea has 13 High Templars, of course he does. But Future's army is actually very good right now. We're about to get 3-3, plus 2 ship weapons, a whole bunch of Liberators. He's adding in a few more Rexes. 8 Libs in total. I think he's going to follow your advice, Wadi, and he is willing to start trading out a little. But it's almost like you look at Astrea's army, and it's like, what's the bad supply? He doesn't really have bad supply. He's got 8 Immortals, 4 Colossus. The Stalkers, I think, are kind of mandatory, because you need something to keep your Colossus alive. You need something to gun down Libs. So it's not that he has a bad army. But yeah, he's also been investing in so much other stuff that I don't even really know what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's not that it's bad, it's just you have the potential to have even better stuff, right? As funny as that seems, those were honestly good storms and good setups onto these libs. We're going to storm again. Those Liberators very close to going down. That was a fantastic trade. So many of the higher tech units being knocked away at here. Would love to just kind of come through and finish up a couple of those libs because they're so low. Such great units to get rid of. As Astrea apparently just going to replace with more. He kind of likes this right now, so he's just going to keep sending it. And to be fair, Future's moving up the right-hand side, so this is going to become a bit of a weird situation. As Astrea and Future might enter a base trade, but Astrea is much more better set up as we actually have High Templars already coming in as part of the defense here. Super Battery will not last long, this gold won't last long, but that's a base I think you can give up if you're going to get through and deal serious damage to the production lines of the Terran player.
It's going to be really hard for Future to take this dance with Astrea, because Astrea has 9 more High Templars. He's going to recall his army into the main base of Future on top of these girls, on top of these Widow Mines. That is one of the recalls, by the way, that he loses now. He does obviously have Nexus recall. Future supply is plummeting. That army is going to have such a hard time battling its way through all the cannons, all the batteries, all those High Templars that are just waiting, hiding around every single corner. A War Prism that can still pick up High Templars as well. Astrea is even firing up Flux Veins, so maybe we get the Void Ray switch made. It feels like this is not a fair fight. They used to say never base trade a Terran. I'd say never base trade Astrea, because there is a High Templar waiting around every single corner of Alcyone in this case.
Yeah, it is looking very, very, very good for Astrea right now. He is losing some bases, sure, but he's obviously done serious damage to the bases of his opponents, so both players have lost bases. That's one more storm coming off of that High Templar. The army of Future is just really not that large any longer. As we are going to see another storm, my goodness, it's so painful. And honestly, now the cannons have a chance to clean up a few units as well. They don't last super long, but well, I mean, at this point, we're just basically waiting for Astrea to kind of come home and clean this up. More and more storms. Apparently, we're just going to deal with only storms. Nothing else needed as Astrea goes up 2-0.
Only storms, mate. There is a subscription model to be found in there somewhere. And I feel like Astrea would be the top earner because he's had some fantastic storms today. Well done. He really, like, I've said this before. Astrea is, I think, the best player out there who also just always wants to have fun. And perhaps his results could be better if he's a little bit less focused on the fun and more on getting the results that he wants. But this is just what makes him happy, and he's still so damn good. He keeps on having deep runs. He takes out some of the best players in the world from time to time. Astrea is awesome, man. He truly is one of a kind.
Honestly, very true. I mean, there's not really a comparable player to Astrea in a lot of ways. As we have a couple minutes break here, waiting for the players a little. We'll get that sorted out. Going to be going to Site Delta for Game 3. Astrea map away from moving into the top 3 of the region through this lower bracket portion. Looking for revenge from Future from the upper bracket. Just sent Astrea down here and through a tough route. You know, you drop to the lower bracket, you have to play Nina in PvP, Kalazer in PvT. Obviously, then you match up against the guy you lost to already as well. I mean, it's not an easy time in this lower bracket, that's for sure.
No, but Astrea does not belong in the lower bracket. Just like Clem earlier today. Like, sometimes it's almost mean, right? Where Clem has technically a sick day. Imagine any other player that would drop to the lower bracket and then go 6-0 on such an important day, the penultimate day of this tournament. Like, we'd be going crazy, right? 6-0, but then it's Clem, and we're like, oh, Clem actually lost a couple of Marines that I feel like he didn't have to lose. And could have microed this a little bit better. It's just because they are so good that they set their own standards so freaking high, and we are getting spoiled by watching him play all the time. And we're just like, yeah, Clem, 6-0, but I've seen you play better. It's unfair. It's not right, but it's just the way it is. And perhaps almost the same goes for Australia. Like, it's an impressive run so far in the lower bracket, but we know what he's capable of. We've seen him win this tournament, the region, quite a few times, even in the era of Neep still being around, and the big three being Neep, Astrea, and Scarlet. Astrea was often the best performer of the three. Even if they would alternate, right? Scarlet would win a championship, Neep would win one, Astrea would win one. Astrea would often make finals, and he doesn't belong in the lower bracket. So it's a sick run, but we know that he's capable of it.
No, he is absolutely capable of it, and again, we just saw the bracket. I'll bring it one more time, but yes, Scarlet is waiting in that lower bracket finals. Trigger in the grand final. Trigger gets the 1-0 lead as well, which is huge because you know all these top guys in Americas. They are all so good, and they're all so close together in skill that a 1-0 lead could make all the difference in that grand final. We're pretty much ready to resume this series. Looks as though the players have readied up. We just need the race to be set from Astrea. Make sure he doesn't... going as Terran, so we don't have to regame. Perfect. Well, admin's on top of it. And we get ready to go into game number 3. Let's see.
Yeah, obviously in the next round, if Astrea closes out this series and gets his revenge on Future, that is going to be a very tough one. Even if Scarlet did just lose a close series against Trigger, I think Astrea against Scarlet, to me, it always feels kind of like a coin toss coming into it. Maybe on this patch where Protoss has been performing very well against Zerg, you could say that it's slightly Astrea favored, but would anyone be surprised if Scarlet wins the series? I don't think so.
No, I do not think so at all. As Site Delta comes up, it's time to see whether Astrea will go through to that lower bracket final tomorrow, or if Future can start to mount a little bit of a comeback. We are going to be starting off in the bottom right with the Blue Protoss, who is one map away from closing out the day. It's Astrea.
And what a day it's been, Wadi. Been here for a little over 8 hours?
About 8 hours now.
8 hours. And it's been fun. Even if we had a couple of trios, we saw some fantastic games. In the top left side of Site Delta, we are looking at the main base of the man who did win the best of 5 in the upper bracket. And even if he ends up falling here, he's had a great run, an epic season. Top 4 is incredibly impressive. This is Future.
SCV out down the right side. This could just be for an engineering bay block trying to mess up Astrea's game plan from the very start. Just trying to, interrupt him a little bit. Could be a good way of doing it.
Yeah, I like an Evo block. Astrea actually has already taken double gas. So it's almost like he knew, and he's like, all right, you go ahead and do that. I have my own build order. You think you're disrupting me, but actually you're only disrupting your own build. It's a shame. Still gonna grab a couple oil probes though. Does not want to see too much HP on this eBay.
I think they're just gonna be getting nibbled at. You don't want to let it, like you say, get too much HP. We are gonna see the SCV into the main. This is quite nice from Future because he is gonna get the scout on. Oh look, double gas. So he sees that that's being taken. Actually, did he see the other gas? No. So actually only saw one gas, unless he saw the probe delivering some gas back from that left
Yeah,
side.
that's possible, right? Sometimes you see the probes carrying gas. If they are carrying gas on that side, you know there is an assimilator, even if you haven't been able to literally see the assimilator. Curious where this game is going to go. It's always tough to predict the American games, especially after a long day, 8+ hours of StarCraft 2 and Astrea. We know that he's going to put on a show again. Opens up with the Sentry. Sentry has really not done very well for him or this tournament, but I guess he did win on Crimson Court. I think we can all agree that it was not because of the Sentry first.
I don't think it was the Sentry, though. Just got a feel. I feel like the Sentry was not great at all, in fact, as they are going to see a forward pylon, so Astrea may get a little bit funky from here still. He's going to just leave with the probe, though, so maybe not. Maybe just a forward pylon to watch things move through the center. As a CC, number 3 comes in from Future. Well, that's one way to completely switch the kind of the run-of-the-mill kind of expectation from him.
Triple CC 3 racks, perhaps. I kind of like that, especially if Astrea plays similar to what he did before. I mean, the idea of Quick Storm is maybe a bit intimidating if you open up with 3 barracks with a lot of ground units and your factory and your starport is a little bit later. But if you just have such an insane economy against a player who stays on 2 bases for a while, then I think you can eat a storm or 2 and still be fine. And this time around, the Sentry is actually going to be very useful because Astrea should feel pretty confident in expanding quicker if he knows what he's up against.
Destination going to come up to the left. The blink is just starting. Warp gate going through. A couple more probes going about. Extra barracks are on the way in as well for future. The factory also starting now. Hallucination obviously tells you everything, so great info for Astrea, who can really decide what to do from here. And yeah, it's going to be very long until factory units come up, so a bit of blink pressure could be nice, but you are then also committing yourself to being successful with that, because if you're not successful, you obviously end up in a tough position where you've delayed your own, further attack or expansion. So I like the fact that third base just comes down. You can still poke around with a couple of stalkers.
Yep. So we have a 2-gate blink setup, but unlike many other players, Astrea does not have a robot. He obviously wants to have his own style, but yeah, he's got a bit of scouting because of that sentry first. And if you have a sentry first and you can scout everything, yeah, you can play it a bit different. And different is apparently going to be Mega Quick Double Forge. He is going to try to become the gateway man against a man with a triple CC 3 racks. It's not impossible, Waddy, but Astrea is signing up for one hell of a challenge.
He is indeed double forging it. Blink coming online in just a second. Our Marines moving forwards, and Stalkers do respond immediately, so good reactions from Astrea, ready to kind of deal with anything that might have arose from that interaction, so was very ready to deal with that there. Once again, his blink is not far from being done, and we do have the double upgrades now starting on those forges, so those are going to get active as well. Stimpack's already halfway done, and that means our future is building up towards his timing here very shortly as well.
Yeah, curious if we're just going to keep everything on the ground or if he feels that an immediate drop is the right play. I mean, Astrea has focused a lot on his upgrades. He is cranking out a lot of workers. What he doesn't have is a lot of gates. So if you're out of position and you're only working with 2 gateways, actually life is going to be very hard. We are kind of used to just warping in a whole bunch of units when we need them the most. And here comes the explosion of gateways, Latot would call it. We're going from 2 all the way up to 6. I wouldn't be surprised if we even rise up to 8 or perhaps 9, 10 rather early. Because that's kind of what he needs. If he doesn't want to tack up, he's going to need a silly amount of gateways. What I kind of would love is maybe a pylon on the top side of the map and a gateway there. Or a pylon and a gate on the left side for those immediate zealot warp-ins and run-bys.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have that kind of access around the map available as a couple of medevacs come popping out. Bio comes through, Stalkers taking some shots, getting chased back into the center just a little bit. Combat shield coming up, medevac, Marine Marauder all on the way. Again, the 1-1 upgrades and the charge coming through on the side of Astrea. So we're about to kind of really hit kind of power point here from Astrea as well with the double upgrades. So it's going to be really nice against a Terran that does not have an engineering bay playing, doing anything right now.
Yeah, 1-1 is sick, especially if you can complement it with a Guardian Shield, and then your Zealots are going to be incredibly strong, and you can probably battle Marines and Marauders. But the larger the numbers grow, the more we favor the Terran player. With or without some upgrades, unless it becomes like a 4 upgrade advantage, then obviously Bio is probably not going to cut it anymore. At the moment, I really don't hate this game for future, but we obviously know that Astrea is a master of weird games. He knows what he's doing. And he's probably just setting up some sort of a master plan. But he's also one bad engagement away of just being A-moved. And then the Terran army stays there, stims, wins the fight, wins the game.
He's going to be able to come in from the backside of this Terran force, though. And that's awkward, because where do you go to? The Stalkers are going to eat a Widow Mine shot. Perhaps the Zealots get past the mines, though, which means the Zealots do not take any splash, but they're just going to get kited. Kind of felt like there might have been something more to this, like units from the bottom left would have been, the full surround, and that could have been neat. We do get to warp in here, and so the Stalkers will get to start coming in after those medevacs, which now load up. We'll get ourselves out of there. We are just going to live. That is extremely fortunate, I think, actually, for future. I feel like that should have gone down.
Future had a few more mines there, or if he had the mines with the army immediately, the third medevac with the army immediately. I think he could have taken a great fight there. Now, in the end, it was a more than acceptable fight for Astrea, and the kind of fights you look for, right? Because if you're playing a pure gateway style, you really want to keep these armies tiny. You want to have either an upgrade advantage or a massive eco advantage, and the eco advantage isn't really there, even if he's spread across 4 mineral lines against 3. Upgrades are awesome. Astrea is dropping a Stargate, by the way. I love that. He drops a Stargate before a Robo, just so he can build 1 Phoenix or 1 Void Ray, and he can gun down those medevacs that are stuck. That's kind of cool.
He's going to knock down a bunch of suppliers. We do have a lot of forces on the other side. This is where Widow Mines can be a huge deal. If they can fire up onto the Zealots and splash them down, it could really help you to survive. Because Astrea is about to be on 2-2. Obviously, Future moving towards 1-1, but the upgrades are just so fast from Astrea.
Yeah, our Future does not want to take a fight down 4 upgrades. Like, upgrades, they matter. We know that they matter. But if Astrea has the 2 upgrade lead, but he's forced to fight Marine Marauder Ghost Mine, I can still kind of believe in the Terran army if there is no splash damage. If it's 4 upgrades, yeah, then these Zealots are just going to be absolute tanks. And they will feel like Ultras, and they just won't die. Phoenix is on the production tab, by the way, and Future is going to be so confused when he sees a Phoenix attacking his medevacs. He's like, hallucination, right? And he's like, wait, what? It deals damage? Like, oh, come on.
Phoenix pops, here we go. Time to play cleanup. There's well, yeah, target the low HP one first. It's going to go down. The other one is not as full. And we do have Stalkers nearby just to finish everything up. Both the Stargate and the Phoenix? I think so. Funnily enough.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, why not, right? It's always nice to have it. Can also be incredibly useful in a potential base trade scenario in the late games. So now at least we have 1 flying unit. Draw avoided, Waddy.
That's the master plan. He's like, well, you know what? It's really important to prioritize their unit right now, just in case this becomes a mega base trade scenario and I end up drawing. Now I can't die. There's going to be a lot of Zealots committing in, but we're against Mines, we're against Ghosts. I tell you what, though, the Mines have kind of missed their opportunity. I feel like they weren't fully borrowed in time. Now they're starting to get some better shots off. Up the ramp on the right side, and EMP came down onto the Stalkers, and we are choked up over there, but apparently the Zealots just do not care. As we get to watch the fight on the natural and the third at the same time, apparently Astrea is just overwhelming. The third base is going to be completely won by him, and he just gets the 3-0 revenge victory over Future.